And so despite that very flashy 6-2 record, which is certainly not mincemeat, 6-2 is good. Seattle is a pretender, not a contender, because there's a lot of bad defense in the NFL, but they are a special kind of bad. They are a special kind of bad. They are Charmin soft on defense. So let us discuss the question: did the Seattle Seahawks make a fatal mistake in trading away all of those draft picks for Jamal Adams? Now, it didn't seem like it at the time, but now that we've watched half the season play out, a little more than that, I think you'd say, does a zebra have stripes? Yes, I've got meat, grand larceny, and pickle jar. And we will combine all these things together. Now, to lead off with the Seahawks, who I give them credit for this, and I know I'm going to rip them, but that's part of the job. The Seahawks dug into the batter's box and swung from the heels. It was like Cody Bellinger in the playoffs trying to hit a home run to the moon and back. And that's what Seattle did in this transaction. It was obviously an impulse purchase. Jamal Adams stuck in football Siberia with the JETS suck, which is a nuclear fallout wasteland where dreams go to die. And so Pete Carroll, like, hey, listen, I can save Jamal Adams from the shame and embarrassment of wearing that green and white clown costume. Pay him, decent contract down the line, but you also have to give up a premium in draft capital. And he was supposed to be the missing jigsaw puzzle piece to complete me defense. Needless to say, that car has backfired. That car has backfired, and hindsight being 2020, this has turned out to be a debacle. And I don't know how you get out of it. You've got yourself in a rundown, and I don't think there's a means to escape here. You're caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. So truth in broadcasting, though, I liked the trade. At the time, we did monologues about it. I would always rather have the proven player than the draft pick, and that part of the trade is still open-ended. Now, Seattle's not looking very good, but that doesn't mean the Jets are going to get anything out of this. Unfortunately for the Seahawks, one man's meat is another man's poison. And maybe the Jets traded an imposter like a Jamal Adams lookalike, because Seattle, they could have signed. I am convinced, if you look at the Seattle defense, and I've seen them play a lot, they've been in primetime games. I watched a good amount of that Seattle-Buffalo game for financial reasons. But Seattle could have gone out and signed famous sports radio caller JJ from Renton, or Jay Scoop, or Jay Scoop's girlfriend, and the pass defense would not have been any worse for wear. And I'm not kidding. And I don't know about Jay Scoop because he's a burgeoning musician, but JJ, he would have taken hiatus from making those giant anchors for doesn't he work for the Navy? He would have stopped doing that, and it could not have been much worse. Could not have been much worse at safety. So Jamal Adams, now, if you want to make excuses for him, you'll say he's been hurt, which means he's not been able to get on the field. But when he's played, the old Legion of Boom has turned into the Legion of Gloom and Doom. Battered, they've been beaten play after play, bruised. And you can make a compelling argument, I think we'll do that right now, that the Seahawks are the same team with or without Jamal Adams. That he has gone from Pro Bowl, all-pro type player with the Jets to a Jag, just a guy. Not a force multiplier. That's what you expected. That's not what you got. You got something else. You didn't get what you were wanted. You got disappointed. It's like when you were a kid in Christmas or Hanukkah, you got a gift, you were all excited about it, and you open it up, you're like, this is a piece of crap. What happened? Now, furthermore, Jamal Adams not living up to his end of the bargain. You look at the eyeball test and the empirical data, because all the stat nerds have a stat for everything, and Adams does not have a leg to stand on. And it's not like you can say it's early in the season anymore. It's that old quote from the late, great Yogi Berra that it gets late early out there. And Jamal Adams, the way he's performed the first half of the season, if this were to continue, he should be brought up on grand larceny charges because he has been a fraud. He has been a front. There's a mountain of damning evidence this high. I mean, it is right up there, damning evidence against Adams. Now, for context, Pro Football Focus, which is not the end-all, be-all, this is some of that data, that empirical data that I was referring to. So Pro Football Focus, which ranks all these players, they have 92 safeties that they rank in coverage. Jamal Adams ranks 78 out of 92 safeties, according to that metric. There are only 14 players that have played safety that have sucked more at a time you cannot suck than Jamal Adams. And none of those other players were traded for 2 first-round picks. But wait, there's more. So I saw these stats going around, and I wanted to double-check, and I'm glad I did double-check because the numbers were a little off. And it's with Jamal Adams on the field, without Jamal Adams on the field. So bear with me on this. So in 4 games Jamal Adams has played, the Seahawks defense has given up 1,519 passing yards, right? And 130 points. So those are terrible numbers. Those are the 4 games that Adams has played in. Now, in the 4 games Jamal Adams has missed, the Seahawks defense has given up 1,219 passing yards and 113 points. So if you're bad at keeping track, the back of the napkin math here, the Maller math tells me that Seattle is 27 points better and 300 yards passing allowed better when Jamal Adams hasn't played. Now, it obviously depends on who you play, and there's some variables to that, but generally speaking, all NFL teams are decent outside of like 3 or 4. So what are we doing? What are we doing here? Now, Adams, he's still making plays on the blitz. He's still making plays. But if that's the case, if he's no longer able to work in coverage, and according to the numbers, he's not, right? As far as a covered safety, he's terrible. Then why not just have him change positions and have him become a linebacker or something and just have him blitz and that be his role? Because if you're dropping back and he is getting run around, I mean, what's the point? Overall, the Seahawks are not just on pace to have the worst pass defense. Former Fox Sports Radio personality Andrew Siciliano tells us that they are positioned to blow the all-time record out of the water by nearly 1,000 yards. Think about that. The worst pass defense of all time, the 2011 Green Bay Packers, 4,796 yards that they allowed. And Seattle is on pace to give up 1,000 yards more, almost 1,000 yards more. All right, last thing here. So if you're a Seattle Seahawk apologist, the 12th man, all right, you got to hang your hat on the fact that Jamal Adams can't possibly be this bad the entire year. He's going to rebound, and there's an adjustment period to changing teams, and you've got new laundry in a new environment, and that's why he's off to a horrible start. Now, do I think that's true? No. But you got to think that he's going to work out the kinks, right? If you're a Seattle apologist, he's going to make the necessary adjustments. Okay. Seattle, at this point, though, if he doesn't, and there's no guarantee that Jamal Adams will figure it out and he'll flip the switch, the Seahawks are stuck in a pickle jar because all of those draft picks they gave up to the Jets, all those blue chip draft picks, they traded away. They cannot allow the player to leave without a fight. It's the same thing the Rams did when they traded for Jalen Ramsey. And Ramsey, he didn't play well at first. Now, he's played better this year for the Rams, but Ramsey was not that great when he came over from Jacksonville. But you gave up 2 first-round picks. You got to keep the guy. You got to get something out of him. You got to squeeze the toothpaste out of the tube. And Seattle has to say, you know, they've just got to say, hey, listen, we got to pay this guy preposterous money, and we've just got to close our eyes and you know, put earplugs in our ears, and that's it, right? And otherwise, you're going to make a bad situation worse, unless you're just at your wit's end and you think this guy's a net negative. You got to get rid of him. I can't imagine they're at that point yet, but it's never a good idea. The moral of this story, it's never a good idea to go bonkers for a safety. For a safety. We're not talking about a impact shutdown defensive back or a star quarterback or a pass rusher. A safety. All right. Anyway, keep in mind, this does not mean, I want to double down on this. This does not mean the Jets can pump their chest out and say, we won the trade. Because those draft picks are meaningless until you monetize them. All right? They have a lot of excitement. People get, gaga for the draft picks and all that. They're like scratcher tickets. All right, we got a lot of truck drivers who are in the Maller militia. And from what I understand, almost all of you guys love to play scratcher tickets, led by Sir Scratch-Off in Arkansas. And all the rest of you guys that have emailed me, David in Pennsylvania and Trucker Joe and all you guys that play the scratcher tickets. And there's that excitement when you buy the ticket. You're like, you're holding your hand. You don't know, this might be the one that's worth $10,000, right? You might have hit the jackpot. But there's no guarantee, and a lot of those scratcher tickets are a waste of time, right? And just like draft picks, you'll draft somebody, but that doesn't mean they're going to be an impact player in the NFL. So just remember that, okay? Before you run off, the Jets, they won the trade. Finally a win for the Jets. Yeah, cool your jets, okay?